Welcome back, everyone, to the Word Traction podcast. This is DEI Fridays, the weekly program where we give some flowers and appreciation and grace to those companies that are making an effort to support their teams and their customers. And on the other side of the ledger, maybe throw a little shade at those that need to do better, or some of them, like your boy Mark Zuckerberg, will need to do a lot better. Is that a preview? Perhaps. You'll just have to stay tuned to find out. Light rain in northern Massachusetts. No worse for the wear. Being well over 21, I can do rain. It is 50 degrees. It promises to be a delightful weekend, and reaching an 80 spot sometime next week. So there is there is hope on the other side of one of the more miserable winters I can remember. But this is not your weather forecast. This is DEI Fridays, and the title, in addition to the standard, is you have choices, and that goes to our discussions. Probably too many of them for many of your tastes, about collective action, because that's what gets us to the end of the rainbow, and also allows each and every one of us to buy in and feel like we're participating, even with all of the the wasted trip to Beijing, whatever. Uh, Taking offense in a in a congressional briefing, somebody in a uniform taking offense at the question, have you hit any more schools? They got to go back and check with the boss. That boss is Pastor Pete. How do you think that conversation is going to go? So we're living in, there's some dark elements to what's going on in the White House and in the cabinet. Certainly people that have their own interests ahead of those of the American people, and certainly those that are taking every opportunity to devalue the participation in the American dream of black and brown people, and that's every fucking day. In case you're keeping score, that's the frequency. So you can just take that preset and prove me wrong. And I hope you bring a sandwich, because it's going to be a while. What I was thinking about today is just choices. We have some of us have our favorite brands, our brand loyalty, our chain restaurants, hotels, airlines, etc., places that we shop, and we make choices with our families about where we spend our hard-earned American dollar, soon to be the yuan. I think maybe it's fair to say that China's in the leadership position as far as the world's preferred currency in a decade or so. That is, unless we can flush this MAGA silliness down the old toilet or latrine or outhouse, where Jethro might dispose of certain other things. So our choices. On the plus side, let's think about a couple of different industry groups, categories. Let's think about things that we face every day. Now, not all of these are ones that you don't patronize participants in each one of these groups on a daily basis, perhaps, but maybe you do. And it's a reminder that because you have a choice, that's where you spend your money, you can have an impact. And as we saw with Disney, who is doing marvelously with their new CEO, standing up proudly and saying, no, we're not doing that. A lot of companies and leaders of goodwill, I'm going to give them credit until I learn otherwise, when you're faced with a decision as a CEO that is, if I don't back off on the larger DEI, then I'm going to miss out on government contracts. Right? There are some large consulting companies that derive 85 to 90% of their total revenue from governmental contracts, right? Uh, Booz Allen, right? An esteemed and extraordinarily successful consulting group, based, not surprisingly, in, I guess they're probably in near Langley, in Reston, Virginia, maybe, if my aged memory serves me correctly. Company like that, can they just say F you? No, it's difficult. And we can be sympathetic to that. Many companies, of course, are rebranding their DEI as workplace participation, uh, get the word diversity out of there if you have to, kind of thing. And again, I'm if the end result is the same, and you explain it in such a way that your teams have the buy-in and your customers understand what you're doing, that you're just basically giving the baby a rattle to help them to STFU for a little while, then that's part of being a leader. You have to make choices yourself. You want to do what's right for your team, do what's right for your customers. And also you have your own morals. Many companies one that I'll get to in a moment, that have a legacy of leading with certain principles. Yeah. So let's look at how about tech. Tech, hotels, restaurants, consumer goods, shopping, big box, etc., all in one there, and airlines. Right. So there's five. So tech, Cisco. Now, as an individual consumer, do you have a face-to-face relationship with a company like Cisco? Not as much, because you're buying component parts, you're buying certain other things, routers, servers, and otherwise, that are doing particular jobs. You're a business owner; it's a little bit different, but we can celebrate, because with companies like Amazon and others, the aforementioned Zuckerberg, doing a piss poor job, that's a technical term, in supporting their employees and their customers, and sucking up, bootlicking for the president. Don't get me started. Just people that laid ass up on the White House lawn during the inauguration. Those are the guys I'm talking about. Mostly guys, and I wouldn't, if there were women involved in that particular act of obedience. I'm not aware of it, and I wouldn't mention it anyways, because it would feel a little bit distasteful as a father of the double X chromosome variety child. I want to try to behave myself, which is difficult. So yeah, but we're going to give up. Cisco CEO Robbins has not only maintained his DEI program in full, he has been outwardly vocal about how it is essential to the success. The metrics tell the truth, not the truth social, not the screaming ninny, not the Republican members, white Republican members of the Senate. There's only one black. That were screaming that Kamala Harris is a DEI hire. She wouldn't be there if she were, that kind of barely coded racism. That's not what we're talking about here, but it's an important reminder who we're fighting against. Is there is racism that was those that were informed by their president that it was pants off, do whatever you want, say whatever you want, don't be don't be cowed by pleasantries or what the lessons that your mother or your pastor, not Pete, taught you when you were young, is that you could be a rude motherfucker and racist, and it's fine because we live in America and you're free to say whatever you want. Now, if you ever criticize any member of the administration, that's where the freedom of speech ends, right? Which makes them cynical, hypocrites, and piss poor human beings, miserable human beings. Their children. I don't hope that their children hate them, but I secretly believe that they probably do, and they're just hoping to move on to better parts of their lives. So yeah, so tech, we're going to say Cisco, thumbs up. Thank you. What we as workers and citizens, hotels. I've spent a few minutes in that industry over the years. There's a particularly effective leader at a little company called Marriott. You've probably heard of them. They have really nice beds, and it's a place you can stay in ultimate luxury or just an affordable room when you're on the road. Those sorts of things. They've got it all, and they have it around the world and in a large number of countries. So somebody like that kept it very simple. What he did, there was a speech that's available online. I think it was about 12, 13, 14 months ago, right around the time that J.D. Vance was at the Munich Security Conference making a complete asshole of himself. Then this senior leader, Mr. Capuano, was on his way or talking about a trip to the Alice Conference, which is a major hotel investment conference in Los Angeles that is, real high level real estate development issues, asset management, etc. And these are very sophisticated, powerful business people that are related through real estate deals and real estate investment trusts and other things like that. These are the big boys and girls that run the industry. And I'm gonna mess this up, but because he's a smoother talker than I am. But he looked back on the legacy of the Marriott brand, Bill Marriott. This is a company with 100 years of history, and also grounded in the Mormon faith. Right? So you offer, when you're a hotel or a restaurant, you open your doors to the world. Right? And what this thoughtful CEO said was, we welcome all, and we provide opportunities for all. Okay? So you ground yourself in core principles and you stick to them. A lot of people, the way that they get run over in the Trump administration because of the velocity of the news and the blather, is they feel the pressure, they shift, they try to accommodate, and I'm getting so many lefts, I'm begging for a right. That sort of vibe that the Trump era has provided for many, those that are susceptible to that. That make themselves or put themselves in the position to be susceptible to that kind of disruption, right? So you ground yourself in core principles, you hold on to them, and you move on. If you make small accommodations around the window dressing, but maintain the same governing principles, then you're a winner, and you continue to be. Great. So lodging, right? And just to not to bury the lead, on the tech side, there are a lot of bad examples. On the hotel industry side, I like I said, I do pay attention a bit to that and a select number of other industries, and read a lot, or consume a shit ton of content. And the hotel industry generally has been doing a really good job in that area. Think about it though. Think about the line employees across the world. It's kind of raining a little bit. I'm going to try to protect the camera. My apologies if it gets a little blurry. That's my bad. I mean, you could quite reasonably say, "Hey, asshole, you could go inside," but no, we're not giving up. No, not taking any steps back. Yeah. So in the hotel industry, there are a lot of. There's a great example, as I just gave, with Marriott International. But there are also a lot of okay examples. I didn't find any particularly horrible examples, or I would share them without favor. Right? Restaurants. Recently, McDonald's not doing great. Everybody, I mean, you kind of think that's a slice of Americana. Right? Is the fast food joints that are, dotted along Americans' highways and in many foreign countries. McDonald's is a company that has rolled back their DEI programs aggressively, all but eliminating them. And whether that is 100% because of Donald J. Trump, or as some CEOs have done, they've taken it as a sort of a permission slip to eliminate some expenses, because DEI programs are not 100% free, but they're the right thing to do, and you have to do it if you want to hire the best talent and retain them, because the cost of retraining employees. Now, also distinguishing the tech industry from hotels and restaurants. Hotels and restaurants, there are going to be major steps, major advances due to AI. But in the hospitality industry, you still need to, sincere greeting and fond farewell. You need humans to do that. Are you going to be able to order more at little kiosks as you can as you've been able to do at various Mexican restaurants? Not stigmatizing them, but convenience restaurants, the Applebee's of the world. I haven't been in an Applebee's in quite some time, but Chili's. They had a kiosk, or a little handheld device you could place your order. Or some of those limited service, you run into Chili's a lot in airports in the USA. And if you sit down and you're kind of short on time, in any case, you want to punch in your sandwich order and a side of fries, and then the food runner brings it out, and you have less contact with a customer service representative. That's probably okay because you're trying to keep it moving. So McDonald's not doing so great. They are very visibly listening to DJT, which is a bad thing to do in any part of your life. I was commenting on young men that are under more pressure in society these days. Very young men, the grapers and people that get too much of a steady diet, a very aggressive, mindless YouTube incel, that whole thing. It's a problem, but the answer is not listening to MFs like your president, because that's not going to help in any way at all. It's going to hurt, and the MAGA apologists are not going to help those young men. They're going to blame somebody, because that's what they do. They point and they say, the reason that you're not as successful is, if it were your president, it was Joe Biden. It was Barack Obama, Hussein Obama. is responsible for your problems in life, which of course neither of those men are. But it's easier to blame somebody because you don't have any fucking answers yourself. So point a finger and it makes you feel better. And then the person that receives that bit of wisdom from DJT says, oh, well, now it makes sense. DJT told me. He's never lied to us before. Right. So McDonald's, pitiful performance, do better, move on. Right. So now we got our tech, we got our hotel, we got our restaurants. Let's do airlines. You have talk about you have choices, right? You open up any one of several apps that help you find the most affordable fare. Of course, it's a challenge right now because of all of the fuel surcharges and all the other things. They want you to travel. People don't want to travel to the U.S. The World Cup is here, and the participation on the ground with visitors was targeted at 1.5 million foreign visitors from around the world, including our neighbors to the north and south, who are also hosting tournaments. But there is going to be a drop-off because, as we've talked about before, if you're a person of color in a foreign country, you've got to lay down even the first round games. They were talking this morning about Portugal versus Colombia, and the average price is something around $2,500. Two beautiful countries, lovely people, the boys, the girls, everybody in between. Fantastic. I'm not paying that much for any football ticket ever. But not early, an early round you buy in, you see somebody. If I'm Portuguese and I know that it's the final game of Mr. Outrageously handsome soccer dude. That's how much I like soccer. But the enormously handsome leader of that Portuguese team, it is his swan song as far as World Cup goes. That matters. You're Portuguese, I'll just say a dad, and your son and your daughter are going to are play in their junior league back home in Lisbon, and you surprise them and you say, "Hey, I got tickets to take us to the World Cup or World Cup." If I say the World Cup like the Twitter, then I'm probably giving away my age, but you already know. So $2,500 a ticket, that's if you're doing only one game, plus elevated cost of travel, plus you have a healthier skin complexion than I do, hopefully, God bless, and you're going to get the side eye by some poorly trained Jethros with guns in ICE. Does that make you feel better about traveling to the United States? Perhaps not. And that's hard for our hospitality industry. It's hard for our retail industry and lots of pop-up businesses. You've probably heard lots of stories about people that have, you can, in normal times, if you're some vendor and you have a plan and you organize and you put together some sort of retail operation just for World Cup, you can capitalize big time and make a huge hit. It's one of the biggest events in the world. And now there's uncertainty. And businesses do not like uncertainty. Right? And that is what Donald Trump is doing with tariffs and with the immigration policy. So he is effing you twice from Tuesday or something like that. It's not good. It's not pleasurable. It's not a good thing. Not good for business. Not good for the country. Not good for democracy or anything else at all. Supposedly they have the southern border is in better shape than it was in the middle of the Biden presidency. Stipulated. You got a winner. Everything else, you're fucking up the country. How's that? Fair? Fair and balanced? Right? Something for, good people on both sides? Yeah, there we go. Take that. All right. So now we're moving. We've got our tech, we've got our hotel, we've got our restaurant, we've got our airline, which is Delta, and they are making the leadership there is saying no. We embrace DEI because it's good for our customers and it's good for our employees. Period. You know, Southwest, well, old story, right? Not so good. Bad leadership. Not good. The Spirit can't don't have firsthand knowledge, don't have any data. American, we'll talk about. And now we'll move on to our final category, which is retail buying stuff, and it's the old favorites. It's Costco. It is we're standing up and mentioning Costco as frequently as we can. I know there's a membership fee involved. I understand that, and that is perhaps where you live, you don't have access to it. You've investigated if I can't shop in store, then in order to pay for the annual membership fee and the level of purchasing I do, it doesn't make economic sense for me to. I understand all that. This is not. Here's a non-word that people sometimes use. It's not irregardless. Not a word. You have to take into consideration all the costs. When I eliminated our Amazon Prime membership, right? You save $140, right? But if you need something that's only available on the largest platform, do you suck it up or do you do a little extra digging and find it available at a price you're paying 5% more? I'll pay 5% more to avoid Amazon or Target or Walmart. I'll do that anytime because I'm supporting a business that's taking into account the needs of their teams and their customers. So there we go. And then going right from the top again, and giving it shorter shrift, in the shade department, we don't have to talk about Zuckerberg again. Tim Cook, he was on the White House lawn. Apple, generally, historically speaking, pretty good DEI, pretty good rebranding DEI in a way that it still supports diversity targets. Companies like that didn't get into their own category. Consulting, right? Deloitte has backtracked a little bit on how they're rebranding their DEI programs, but absolutely magnificent job reaching pay parity in gender pay parity, right? So you've got that is part of the program. If you can't turn around and say, okay, now you're paying men and women the same amount for the same job, I'm going to look immediately and judge you harshly on all other 75,000 categories of DEI. No, they're running a business. If they're moving in the right direction, if they're sincerely trying to do better, then you give them credit. Like Disney, U-turn, Bob Iger out, new dude in. Whose name is Josh? Whoever he is. He's doing great. He is standing up and saying, no, that's not what our core value is. We need diversity. We welcome, much like the leader of Marriott. You're Disney. You're also in the hotel business. You're also in the restaurant business. You're welcoming in the world, opening your doors and saying, come into my house. Right? If you're inviting people to come into your house, how much more comfortable will the visitors feel if those that are greeting them and serving them as service employees, how much more comfortable will they feel when those service employees look like them, look like their families? So that is inclusion from diversity, right? That is equity, and all equity is in the DEI sense is fairness. Inclusion also is really fairness. Diversity is fairness. So if we want to just rebrand, I don't want to hand the clown show a victory. So DEI is still a thing because it isn't theirs to take. But if a company just says, I'm doing all the same things, but I'm calling it fairness, yeah. The problem is that the fascists are requiring, much as they are in the universities, and I didn't do universities because I did that in its entirety 2 weeks ago. But I'll be back. I'm, a champion. Harvard, down the street, doing great, fighting the good fight. Their next door neighbor, MIT, doing well. Cornell, I stopped by for a cup of coffee, not doing so good. Or well. I tell it, if I say they ain't doing good, then maybe they didn't do good. Or maybe I didn't pay attention or stick around long enough. Columbia, the first one to come under attack, right? That they were the ones that they were attacked and they decided to lay down. And they're paying for that because, like the overused mob boss analogy, that once Donald Trump knows that you have a weakness, he's going to keep coming back and coming back and coming back until this is a nonviolent podcast, as we've talked about before. But if a bully comes at you, you punch him in the nose. And if he doesn't like that answer, what you do is you punch him again. Right? So, yeah. So those are our, going backwards order. We got our tech. We know who's failing. Elon obviously failing. Jensen Huang doing a very good job. He's the one. He's the CEO of NVIDIA, one of the most important human beings in the world because of the chips. In a very difficult position because Jensen Huang is Taiwanese by birth. So he's trapped in this dilemma between Trump and Xi Jinping, right? And as you know, still the vast majority of the most advanced chips are produced in Taiwan. So that's a choke point. That just like Trump got throttled in the Strait of Hormuz, he could eventually be throttled by Xi in Taiwan until such time as we can, building fabs is very complicated work. It takes some time. So that'll be, but Jensen Huang himself is, I said Huang, it's Huang, is my Mandarin is rusty. He stands up and verbally extols the virtues of diversity, and nobody's going to take shots at him because everybody needs him. He is in demand, right? So then, as I said, with the hotels, largely all doing a good job, if not a great job, like Marriott is doing. The restaurants, we talked about McDonald's, and that's more recent that they've really gone downhill in how they're supporting that. And they look at it and they say, "Oh, we got 2 more years of this lunatic," but the CEO is more philosophically aligned with that. And there are, plenty of McDonald's in MAGA neighborhoods, so he has to balance that out. I understand that, but don't be an idiot, right? And airlines, yeah, we talked about American, not great, a hard U-turn on DEI initiatives, and in our shopping, we've already thrown shade at Amazon and Walmart, Target. Yeah. So that's our good and our bad for the day and for the week. That's DEI Fridays. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'll be with you at some point over the weekend. If not tomorrow, then Sunday. You know how it goes. Sunday, I usually you get a version of the Deep thoughts from a shallow guy. Chances are you'll get that again if it's not raining cats and puppies. But I thank you for being here. Kindly restack, tell two friends, subscribe if you haven't. If you're able to, share this on another platform to try to bring in people that previously, that are in your friend group and are Substack skeptics for some reason. Yeah. I want a short admonition. A wonderful connection on the platform last night, and I'm going to blow the name, so I'll thank her with her permission on the platform itself when I get done with this and I ask permission. But she pointed out an effort by somebody trying to use my name to collect fees from people and just kind of made some changes, used my handle and added a word on the end of it, right? And I reported it to the authorities. That Substack. These are not Substack as a platform. This is not only angels. Part of their shtick is we want all voices, and all voices on Substack, as people have pointed out, includes, wait for it, Nazis, which is concerning. But what should be more concerning about the business than the business decisions of a helpful platform that helps spread First Amendment freedoms? What is more concerning is when your vice president and other members of the current administration is fighting for the free speech rights of actual Nazis in Germany. So, yeah. So we have to focus our ire more carefully, because there is a lot of bad actors out there, and we can't slay all the dragons in one day, but just take a shot each day, and if you stab them each day a little bit, even with a knitting needle, if you're a knitter, then eventually they'll die. The thousand cuts will get them eventually. So, thank you. And restack, subscribe, etc. We'll see you on the weekend. I'm going to get uncomfortably close to the camera, which you can see clearly because I'm wearing a very bright yellow jacket. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for your time.